Hey guys, we are on day 109 in our Bible reading plan, and today we're going to be reading the book of 1 Samuel, chapters 28, 29, 30, and 31, and Psalm 18. In chapter 28, we read that the Philistines are going to war with Israel. Achish tells David that he's going to be going with them, with the Philistines, to fight against Israel. And then we read that Samuel has passed away, and that when Saul sees the armies gathering, he's terrified, he's quaking in fear again, and so he goes and consults a medium or spiritist, which we're told earlier in the chapter that he had outlawed the practice of going and consulting mediums and spiritists. So he convinces this medium or spiritist to call up Samuel so he can consult Samuel. So Samuel shows up, and this is what Samuel says to Saul. He says, "Why do you consult me now that the Lord has departed from you and become your enemy? The Lord has done what he predicted through me. The Lord has torn the kingdom out of your hands and given it to one of your neighbors, to David. Because you did not obey the Lord or carry out his fierce wrath against the Amalekites, the Lord has done this to you today. The Lord will deliver both Israel and you into the hands of the Philistines, and tomorrow you and your sons will be with me. The Lord will also give the army of Israel into the hands of the Philistines." It says, immediately Saul fell full length on the ground, filled with fear because of Samuel's words. He has gone too far, and the Lord has decreed now that Saul and his sons will die the very next day. Then in 29, we're given sort of the backstory of what's been happening for David while he's been with the Philistines who are going to war with Israel, while Achish, I'm not actually sure how to say his name, but we'll pick one and go with it, while Achish has full trust and confidence in David, even though he shouldn't, because David's been lying to him and telling him he's been raiding the Israelites when he hasn't. He tells David that while he has full confidence in him, the rest of the Philistines do not. We're told that they're fearful that this would be a good way for him to turn on them in the middle of battle and win back the love of his people and take back his kingdom. So they send him back, and he's not allowed to fight this battle against Saul and the rest of Israel. Now, in chapter 30, we're told that during this time, David has taken his men and gone back to Ziklag. And when they arrive there, Ziklag is where they've made camp, where their families are. When they arrive there, they find that the Amalekites have raided it, that they've burned it and destroyed everything, that they've taken everything, including the people. They haven't killed any of the people, but they've taken everyone. So they've taken the men's wives and daughters and children, their servants, everyone is gone. David's wives have been taken, and everyone is angry at David. And it says, in verse 6, David was greatly distressed because the men were talking of stoning him. Each one was bitter in spirit because of his sons and daughters. But David found strength in the Lord his God. Then David inquires of the Lord. He asks, "Shall I pursue them?" And when he inquires of the Lord answers him. And he says, "Pursue them. You will certainly overtake them and succeed in the rescue." And he does. He succeeds in the rescue. And then after he succeeds in the rescue and gets everyone back, he even sends an offering to the elders in Judah. And so we have this sense that when David is faced with a difficult situation where the people are against him and upset with him, he doesn't bend to the will of the people. He first goes and inquires of the Lord. And this is a really big distinction, even here in the account that we're still seeing between Saul and David, that Saul, when he's afraid and when the people are afraid, he turns to things that are ungodly that he knows he shouldn't be doing. But David turns to the Lord and inquires of the Lord and trusts in God, and then does the right thing even with his plunder and the bounty he sends in offering to the elders in Judah. And then in chapter 31, we return to the story of Saul and the Philistines attacking. We read early on in this chapter that Saul is fatally or mortally wounded. He and his sons die in this chapter, and Saul even asks his armor bearer, he knows that he's dying, he knows his end is near, he asks his armor bearer to draw his sword and take his life, but his armor bearer refuses to take the life of the anointed one of the Lord, and so Saul falls on his own sword, and his life ends. And his men take his body, they mourn him, they fast for 7 days. We read that this time where Saul has been pursuing David and persecuting David and relentlessly trying to take his life. This season of David's life has ended with the death of Saul. In fact, in the introduction to Psalm 18, we read this. It says, "For the director of music of David, the servant of the Lord, he sang to the Lord the words of this song when the Lord delivered him from the hand of his enemies and from the hand of Saul." It says, he said, "I love you, Lord, my strength. The Lord is my rock, my fortress, and my deliverer. My God is my rock, in whom I take refuge, my shield and the horn of my salvation, my stronghold." And he goes on and just describes this beautiful victory, the Lord fighting the battle for him, the victory he gives all the credit to God. And it's this beautiful picture of David's heart when he comes to this place of deliverance. He understands that none of it was by his might, none of it was by his strength or his own will, but it was all the Lord working on his behalf. In that moment, as he's looking back, it's as if he knew God was at work in all of those times and in all of those seasons and in all of those places. And I am just encouraged as I reflect on the reading today by this stark contrast once again that we see in the lives of Saul and David. Over and over again, Saul had these chances, these opportunities where he could have done the right thing, where he could have chosen to obey the Lord and his commands and done things the way he knew he should be doing them. And over again, he chooses not to. But David, even when his men seem like they're against him and they're blaming him for what has happened to their families, his first response is to go to the Lord. And it just makes me wonder, when I face difficult times, how often I try to figure those situations out before taking them to the Lord. His first response was to inquire of the Lord there, and the Lord answered him. And I wonder how many things would go differently in my life and maybe in yours if our first response was to ask God, what should I do? And then to wait and listen for him to respond. We have a God who answers. We have a God who responds when we seek him. The Bible says that if we seek him, we will find him. If we knock, he will answer. It's as if God is waiting for us to turn to him and invite him into those moments, those hard, difficult spaces that we face, and choose to walk through them with him. And that encourages me today as I read. I hope you're encouraged by what you read. I'd love to hear your thoughts and how God's speaking to you. So drop a comment in the comments or on the Bible app, and have a great day, guys.